111-84, Quinnipiac season comes to an end at the hand of the Oklahoma Sooners. John Albin, Maury Hirsch-Gordon, Dylan Fearon. Gentlemen, rapid reaction as the Quinnipiac Bobcats end their season at 31-4, going down the first round of the NCAA Tournament. Initial thoughts, Maury?
84 points, John. If Quinnipiac woke up this morning saying they were going to score 84 points and still lose by 27, I think they're shocked. But you have to pull out some positives. Only 11 turnovers after the 8 quick turnovers to start. 7 steals. The ball movement increased. I think their confidence increased as the game went on. But from the get-go, Oklahoma was tough. Out to a 16-3 lead. Quinnipiac couldn't come back from that.
The most bizarre game I think I've ever watched in my entire life. I mean, Kaylon Williams, the star for this Oklahoma team, picks up early fouls in the first and second half. She drops 12 points in just 6 minutes. Then you look at Peyton Little, another big-time scorer for Oklahoma, just has 5 points. And they still drop 111. Just shows the depth of this Oklahoma team. Just such a bizarre game. Quinnipiac had opportunities to cut the lead to 9, turnover by Martucci, and then Oklahoma hits 2 threes to extend it to a 17-point game. Just a weird game, and a great season for Quinnipiac, but just such a weird game. I mean,
things started on a very interesting note in the first half. Points were on the board almost immediately. Breaking down the first half, it was 57-40 in favor of Oklahoma. Kaylon Williams, as you mentioned, 8 points. She had only played about 3-4 minutes or so at that point. This Oklahoma team was just out from the start, setting the pace from the get-go. Do you think that helped end this one where it started?
Oh, Williams set the tone very early on. I think another thing that really helped the Sooners was containing Samantha Guastella, who's only 2 for 10 from the field and 1 for 7 from 3. That was what Oklahoma tried to do from the get-go, was stop Guastella and get Williams inside on Val Driscoll, who also struggled all game long. It didn't really play in the second half.
6 Oklahoma Sooners players had double-digit scoring. But it's the efficiency, John, that I want to mention. In order for Quinnipiac to take down a BCS opponent, a Big 12 opponent, the Sooners' 6 players that I just mentioned finishing double digits were 30 of 44 from the field. When you shoot the ball 68% from the floor and your top 6 scorers do that, it's hard to rebound.
This is the youngest team in the NCAA Tournament, and they scored 111 points. And Kaylon Williams and Peyton Little were just contained due to foul trouble and just not shooting the ball well. And this team continued to fight and play so well. Gabby Ortiz, the Big 12 Freshman of the Year, has 16 points, most in the first half. Then Maddie Manning comes in. It's her turn in the second half. She drops 15 points, can shoot the ball really well. They did really well in the outside game and working in and out on both sides of the ball.
Pace of this game was bang, 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 bang. Every single time that Quinnipiac was actually able to get something going, Oklahoma had an answer, except for the run that started changing things in favor of Quinnipiac in the second half, which was ended by a Natalie Martucci turnover.
Little 11-0 run, 8-0 run, for Quinnipiac, looking to cut the deficit from 11 down to just 9. Oklahoma calls a timeout after a Napolitano 3. Gabby Ortiz loses the ball. Martucci comes down the floor. Great hustle, though, back by Ortiz to cut the pass off from Martucci to Napolitano. Would have been an easy layup for Napolitano to cut it to 9. That was with about 13 minutes left in the game. And from right there, 18 seconds later, 2 threes by Oklahoma.
Huge momentum changer. I mean, you're going from 9 to 17 points. There was still plenty of game time left. We just looked at each other and we're like, man, this one's over just like that.
Instant gratification for the Sooners. 8 points for Martucci, 3 turnovers. That one ultimately being the biggest and the most imperative for the Sooners to run away with this one. Some of the bright spots for Quinnipiac, Jasmine Martin, maybe the best player in Quinnipiac women's basketball history, has, for her standards, not a very good season. Doesn't get any MAC awards, dominates the MAC tournament, and fantastic today. 24 points, 5 rebounds.
An absolute assassin. I mean, you talked about it. A below-average regular season, doesn't get an all-conference, all-league, has a tremendous MAC tournament, takes down a Marist team who's won 9 straight, and then you go into the NCAA tournament and you drop 24 points, or 26. I mean, tremendous performance from a 3-year captain. I mean, you couldn't have gone off any better except with a win.
She's the leader on and off the court, John. 24 points. Tremendous job by Martin. Statistically, the best 4-game stretch in her career, last 4 games of her career.
Taking a look at the rest of the Old Rush, that 5-starter rotation that was all seniors and a grad student for Quinnipiac. 6 points for Nicolene Ostegard, 8 rebounds for her. Guastella, as Dylan mentioned, 10 points. Val Driscoll, 14 minutes, 3 points, 2 rebounds, didn't have a single field goal. When you're going against players of the size of the Sooners, especially considering Driscoll transferred in from playing those bodies, you need production, and she just was not there today for Quinnipiac.
Really interesting how Jasmine Martin doesn't play well in the regular season, dominates in the MAC tournament, plays well in the NCAA tournament, and Val Driscoll's the exact opposite. Dominated the regular season, especially in conference play, doesn't play well in the MAC tournament, and was absolutely just nowhere to be found today. I mean, the inside game for Oklahoma was tremendous. They out-rebounded Quinnipiac 48-32. Dominating performance by the Sooners inside, but where was Val Driscoll? Nowhere.
It's not that she doesn't have the size, it's her quickness. It's that first step. The bigs for Oklahoma, the first step on a spin move, the first step on a drop step was the key down low to get around Driscoll.
Well, and the ESPN announcers kept bringing it up too. She would get in front of the offensive unit and then back down as they went up. And it doesn't make sense for a player like her for that to be happening at this stage in the season. They kept saying that over and over again, and it hurt Quinnipiac. Boo Abshire in her final career game, 12 points, 4 of 7 from threes. When all's said and done, gentlemen, there's 4 to 5 Hall of Famers on this team, isn't there?
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely. I mean, you talk about 104 wins that this group has produced, 2 conference championships, 1 in the NEC, 1 in the MAC. You were in 2 NITs, and you were in 2 NCAA tournament games. I mean, absolutely dominating class.
Jasmine Martin, one of the best players in program history. Boo Abshire led the country in assist to turnover ratio. Sam Guastella, first team all conference. Go right down the list. They're all right there.
Sooners shot more than 55% from the field in this game. Quinnipiac, 34.8, more or less what we saw all season long from them. 3-point efficiency was there. Oklahoma was so good in this game. There is nothing that can be taken away from the Sooners. If you're a Sooners fan, you hope that they didn't get all their scoring output out of the way now, and you hope that that carries around, whether it's Stanford or Cal State Northridge. Looking back at this Quinnipiac season, there's a lot of specific moments that you can say, well, they should have done this, and they would have gotten this out of it. And that's interesting considering this is a team that went undefeated in conference play. But more, you were talking about it before. Maybe if they had beaten Florida Gulf Coast, maybe if that loss to Harvard doesn't happen, it's not a 12 seed and it gets an 11. And we've seen these 6 seeds are dropping like flies.
Yep. Before the game, John, we were talking, looking at some of the scores. Albany almost gave Duke a loss.
Duke took it to the buzzer.
Yep, 54-52 Albany. That's a team that Quinnipiac defeated this year. So it's imperative that in the out-of-conference that you play a good schedule, yes, but that you focus on each and every game. If they would have beaten Harvard, Quinnipiac would have been around a 10 or an 11 seed with an even better chance to win and even a game probably closer to home.
Well, we can sit here and say that they should have beaten Harvard or Florida Gulf Coast, but you could also look at it, what if they hadn't beaten Canisius in the regular season?
Right.
What if Jasmine Martin hadn't gone off at the end and they wouldn't have won that game and they wouldn't have gotten 20-0? It would have been 19-1. Or what if they lost another conference game and they would have still sat at that 12? You got to look at it both sides.
Yeah.
I think when all is said and done here, this team exceeded a lot of expectations. They were still picked first, tied for first overall in the MAC. But when all is said and done, this goes down as probably the best team to play in Quinnipiac basketball history, not just men's, not just women's. Quinnipiac basketball history. As I mentioned, 31-4. When you look back on the season, what one word, Maury, comes to mind for you?
Consistent. The daily job in practice and the daily job game in and game out on the court. Trisha Fabry said they never put the cart before the horse. Game in and game out, it was methodical and it was buzzsaw-like.
Methodical is a good word. I'm going to go with magic. I mean, another 30-win season. Trisha Fabry said they weren't ever going to get that again, and they got it. There were no real injuries. There was no ineligibility like there was on the men's side. It was really a magical season, and it's sad to see it end.
This team, it had it all. It had the depth. It had the gold rush. It opened eyes with the gold rush. Then people tried to pronounce Quinnipiac and figure out what the gold rush actually was. Trisha Fabry said it, and I feel like we've said it here a multitude of times. These players put Quinnipiac on the map on a national scene. Would a win have added to that? Probably quite a bit. Still, with Martin, Ostergaard, Guastella, Driscoll, and Abshire leaving, there's no doubt that this is some sort of an end of an era for Quinnipiac, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, we've got some good recruits coming in with Brittany Martin, Jasmine's little sister, but still, you lose arguably your 5 best players. There's going to be a down year, and I think at this point it's Marist to lose next year.
I think it's a little too early to talk about next season.
Of course.
Transfers, injuries,
Yep.
reinstatability from the NCAA. But they have a great core coming back. Jen Fay down low, Sarah Schuin down low. You come out to the perimeter, Maria Napolitano hit some key shots today. Adelie Martucci was feisty. Brianna Ramos played
And
great.
I think that's more, the Gold Rush, even though it didn't see a whole lot of minutes as a unit today, looked the most impressive it's been since the start of the MAC tournament at least.
Yep.
Never doubt Trisha Fabry. Never.
4 years ago, my freshman year, Quinnipiac lost to Monmouth on its home court in the NEC semifinals in a game that it should have won. It was leading for most of it. The look of desolation on the players' faces, on Trisha Fabry's face, something I haven't seen since. She comes into the press conference, Trisha Fabry. She says, that will never happen again. Next season, that is not happening. Next season, go to the NCAA Tournament. Year after that, MAC championship game appearance and IT appearance. Year after that, NCAA Tournament appearance. An incredible 4-year run for these Quinnipiac Bobcats. This one, though, comes to an end at the hands of Oklahoma. Perennial shooting team today. One of the best performances in the NCAA Tournament thus far, if not the best. Ultimately, too much for the Bobcats. 111-84 is your final as the Bobcats go down to the Sooners and end their season.